From achieving gold in the Olympics to doing it again twice in the UFC, Triple C is definitely up there with the best fighters of all time. He's earned 2 belts and cleared out both of his weight divisions. He's also the only fighter in UFC history to say he has 2 UFC belts and a gold medal in the Olympics.
Congratulations on not just becoming the flyweight champion and the bantamweight champion, but also the first man to ever hold an Olympic gold medal and 2 world titles.
If you don't know who we're talking about, you're definitely not an MMA fan. Also known as the Cringe King, Henry Cejudo, or Triple C, has recently come out of retirement. Let's take a look at why he needs to stay retired. If you don't know, Cejudo retired in May 2020 at the peak of his career.
I'm retiring tonight, Joe. I'm 33 years old. I'm happy with my career. Again, Uncle Dane, I want to say thank you for everything. You're the man.
Although urged to come back by many, there isn't really anything left for him to do inside the UFC. First of all, Triple C really has undertaken essentially every task an All-American wrestler turned UFC fighter could, and shined in all of them. Let's start with his wrestling career. Starting all the way back in 2004, a young Cejudo would quickly make a name for himself in the pro-American wrestling scene. In the same year, he faced off with some killers in the freestyle and Greco circuits. 2004 was also the year he won his first title against Spencer Mango. Some would say the 6-time world team member and 2-time Olympian was one of the best Greco-style wrestlers of the decade. He'd then carry on kicking asses in the US Open, Junior World Championships, and the World Cup before attempting the goal of every wrestler to compete and win in the Olympics.
Henry Cejudo delivered, 21 years of age. For the first time since 1904, the United States has a gold.
For the team trials, Cejudo didn't have it easy. He faced off against Grant Nakamura, Danny Felix, and Stephen Abbas. And after some legendary matches, Cejudo defeated them all. The trials themselves were spectacular, but when it came time to shine, Cejudo took the opportunity with both hands. At the time, some said he wasn't ready to win the Olympics. He had lost the year before at the World Championships, but that didn't faze Triple C. After upsetting many former champions on his way to gold, he finally faced off against Tomohiro Matsunaga. His win over Matsunaga not only earned him an Olympic gold medal, but also gave him the title of the youngest Olympic champion in history.
Cejudo becomes the youngest Olympic champion in USA wrestling history.
This proved just how determined and disciplined Henry Cejudo was. Very few athletes ever win gold, and even fewer choose to switch sports and win gold again. To master wrestling and then choose to master MMA is no easy task, and very few have done it successfully. You may know of some of the other great wrestlers in the UFC, such as Yoel Romero and Daniel Cormier, who found success in both sports. Daniel Cormier even won Olympic medals and became a UFC champion. But one thing almost as rare as a UFC champion who also has Olympic gold is a UFC double champ. Conor McGregor was the first UFC fighter to hold 2 belts simultaneously.
I'm here with the winner and new, and for the first time ever, 2-division champion Conor McGregor. The first man ever to hold 2 titles simultaneously.
Amanda Nunes was the second fighter to defend 2 belts at the same time, but Cejudo was the first to win Olympic gold, a UFC title, a second UFC title, and defend them both. As amazing as his career was, looking back, it was no easy road for Triple C. He started his UFC title run at flyweight, but it did not go according to plan. He missed weight in his first flyweight bout. UFC president Dana White then gave him an ultimatum: move up or leave the UFC. After finally debuting and winning at bantamweight, he then moved back down after defeating everyone the UFC threw at him. We really meant it when we said he never had it easy. To get that flyweight belt, he would have to defeat the greatest flyweight of all time. Many are claiming him to be the best UFC fighter ever. On April 23rd, 2016, Cejudo would face off against Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, with Mighty Mouse ending Cejudo's run with a technical knockout. No stranger to adversity, the triple champ took his setback as fuel for his fire. He came back 2 years later, and at UFC 227 7 in August 2018, he would defy the odds and dethrone Mighty Mouse, becoming the first man to do so at flyweight. At this point, he achieved more than most combat sports athletes could ever dream of, and could have easily retired then and there. But he wasn't done just yet. A year later, he would go up in weight again to bantamweight and fight for the vacant belt. With a stunning knockout over Marlon Moraes, Henry Cejudo would become Triple C. For his last fight, he would face off against the legend Dominic Cruz and brutally KO him. That was that. He defeated legends in both sports, and there was nothing left to do. He retired that night, and most thought that was it, until he agreed to face Aljamain Sterling in May 2023. There is almost nothing left for Cejudo to come back for, apart from the itch to compete. That's all well and good, but we know how important a legacy is for fighters, and the truth is, numbers don't lie, and almost every great UFC fighter has struggled after coming back from a long retirement. Let's start with Anderson Silva. After an amazing career, he decided to make his return and almost lost every one of his comeback fights. Then there's Conor McGregor. He just couldn't restart his winning streak, no matter how hard he tried. We hope fate doesn't have the same in store for Triple C, but there are many questions that need to be answered when a fighter returns from retirement, such as, is he still hungry? It's easy to find motivation when you've got a mountain to climb, not so much when you've accomplished all a fighter can achieve. Then there's the question of whether he is still committed to fighting. He has many other pursuits outside of his fighting career. He has a successful podcast, is very active on social media, and even does UFC PR work. He has even taken up the role of coach for younger up-and-coming fighters. Does he even have time to be a champion again? Another question is whether or not any injuries sustained in his long career will hinder him. It's well known that legendary fighters like Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson suffered career-affecting injuries after their coveted careers. Henry Cejudo has been in the sport for over 20 years, so it's almost impossible to have been unscathed. Cejudo is old and started early, so it's unlikely he has the same motivation as he did when he was young and hungry. He's also a father now. He had a daughter in 2021, and many fighters in the past have stated that they would rather look after their families than fight forever. It's different when you're young and have big goals, but when you're younger and have a family to take care of, the desire to get in there and compete in one of the toughest sports in the world just isn't the same. Who really knows how much these factors will affect his future career? We know he's already hinted at future plans outside of the octagon. For a start, he's been vocal about his desire to compete again in wrestling at the 2024 Olympics. Who knows if he's really serious about that? But knowing what Cejudo's drive is like, there's no reason to doubt him. He's also spoken about opening up his own gym and spending more time coaching up-and-coming fighters. Both of these pursuits would take tremendous time and dedication. Does he really have the time to be a dad, coach, podcaster, Olympian, analyst, and UFC champ? I guess if it's just the desire to compete that motivates Triple C, he will be fine. But he's often spoken about legacy, and if he returns and loses multiple times, will people view him in the same light? Only Cejudo knows if retirement is best for him. But we think he's accomplished everything a wrestler turned UFC fighter could dream of. And as has been seen in the past, it's important for a fighter to know when to hang up the gloves. So from his old age that might hinder him, to the consideration that needs to be given to his family, these were the reasons why Henry Cejudo needs to stay retired.